Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. In today's video, we're going to talk everything around digital nomad visas and how you might be able to use those new digital nomad visas to lower your overall tax obligations. If you don't know me, I'm Kathleen from Wonders Wealth, and I help digital nomads, location-independent entrepreneurs with their overall tax situation, with the corporate structures, and finding international solutions to protect their wealth and to make their money work for them. Also, make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button so that you get a notification whenever we produce a new video. Now let's jump into the topic. So digital nomad visa, it's actually quite a new term, and the first one to produce a digital nomad visa was actually Estonia. They launched their first digital nomad visa on the 3rd of June 2020. And since then, many countries have followed the trend and have launched their own form of a digital nomad visa. The important thing to note around the digital nomad visas is that not one digital nomad visa is the same as the other, meaning that every single country that has decided to launch a digital nomad visa has made their own terms, requirements for a person that they need to fulfill in order to qualify and to be able to apply for these digital nomad visas. What we have seen is that quite a few countries, Eastern European countries, have followed the example of Estonia in order to launch a digital nomad visa, but there's also other countries all around the world that have joined and jumped on this trend, such as Caribbean islands. We have Aruba, Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, and we have Bahamas, Barbados, who have also jumped on this trend. And obviously, a lot of these Caribbean islands already don't really have personal income taxes. So that is very beneficial, especially, I guess, for, let's say, maybe Americans who are closer to those Caribbean islands and who decide that they want to apply for these digital nomad visas and then not having to pay any personal income taxes when they receive this visa, and they're able to live on these Caribbean islands and have basically a tax-free stay as well. And then we also have other countries, as I've mentioned, in Eastern European countries that have followed this trend, such as Estonia. We also have Croatia. We also saw Malta, who has brought out a new digital nomad visa. And in those circumstances, it is really attractive for people who aren't necessarily able to spend more than 90 days within Europe or the Schengen zone. Especially, for example, the Maltese digital nomad visa could be really interesting for people who don't have a European citizenship and are usually restricted to spending 90 days within a 180-day period within the Schengen zone. And even on top of that, some benefits that you might also find is, for example, with the Croatian digital nomad visa, you can get a full year stay tax-free. So you don't have to pay any taxes to Croatia in order to take advantage of this digital nomad visa and to be able to live in Croatia for a full year, and you don't have any tax obligations linked to it. Remember that digital nomad visas, or sometimes remote worker visas, also every country has sort of their own name linked to the program that they've created. These visas are really made thinking about those that are able to work remotely, those that are able to work from their laptops, those that aren't taking away any local jobs from the local people, but instead can produce their income from anywhere. Whether they are employed, whether they are employed by a company that is residing abroad, or whether they're self-employed, most of the times it doesn't really matter. So you can be self-employed, or you can be a remote worker that is employed from a foreign company. But what matters is that you come and you can provide for yourself. And a lot of times with this digital nomad visas as well, in order to be eligible, you must meet a certain threshold of annual income. And the income requirements are vary differently between country to another country. So one of the lowest requirements right now is in Croatia, and there you need to be making somewhere around 2,200 euros per month, as compared to the digital nomad visa that was launched in Iceland, where the requirements are much higher, up in the 80,000 US dollar per year, and so forth. Even the Caribbean islands, they are also requiring you to have a higher income threshold in order to be able to be eligible, because the goal is basically that then those digital nomads or remote workers will travel and move basically for a short-term stay to those countries and contribute to the local economy. Meaning you might need an apartment, so you might be paying rent, and then you might also, go out and eat, go to restaurants, go to cafes, and contribute to their economy. And the change of mindset for governments now to create this digital nomad visa, obviously it has to do with whatever happened during the last 2 years, you understand, and now everyone being pushed to work remotely, and therefore now there's also executives or families that see the opportunity there, that they're able to work remotely, work from anywhere. They're no longer required to necessarily live in the cities and be close to work, but instead they can do their work from anywhere. So governments have picked up on this trend. They've seen that there are some opportunities there if they make their countries attractive enough to get foreigners to move there and to get the benefits basically from living there and moving there. So this is why these digital nomad visas have come out. And it's also important to know that this sort of digital nomad visas, remote work visas, aren't really that new. For example, Germany already had a freelancer visa available. What is new though is those big incentives, and that they're really targeted towards people that are working mostly online, and that they even come together with those big tax benefits. But keep in mind, as I said at the beginning, not every single digital nomad visa will give you a tax-free stay. Because, for example, in Estonia, the first digital nomad visa, you aren't going to be taxed up to 183 days. So up until then, you're basically able to live tax-free. If that's your only tax obligation, keep that in mind as well. But after that time, you are considered to be a tax resident of Estonia, and therefore you will have to declare your taxes in Estonia as well. And that is the case for many other digital nomad visas, that the normal tax residency rules apply if they aren't overwritten by the visa, which, can also be the case, as it is, for example, in Croatia, where the normal tax residency rules don't apply to anyone that actually get the digital nomad visa, but instead it's clearly written that you get 1 year tax-free stay. So be really careful when you're looking at those different digital nomad visas, that you don't confuse the rules from one country with another country, because they're very, very country specific, and they all have different eligibility requirements. Some of them have fees that you need to pay in order to be able to apply. And if you bring dependents with you, if you are a digital nomad family that is traveling, you will have even higher requirements that you need to fulfill for every single person that you're taking with you. Now, do I personally like those digital nomad visas? Yes, I think it's always great to see when governments decide to work together with the current trends, and especially when it comes to remote working and digital nomadism. And now even governments starting to build up such things as digital nomad villages in Portugal and in Croatia as well. So there's definitely a trend going on there, and governments really trying to push those trends and getting more foreigners into their countries in order to raise more revenues. But do I think that they are a viable solution for someone who's trying to reduce their taxes? Yes and no. As I said, some of them could give you potentially 1 year of tax-free stay. And I think in some instances, you're even able to extend the digital nomad visa for 2 other terms. So that could potentially almost give you 3 years of a stay in a foreign country and potentially a 3-year tax-free stay. So obviously we don't have many cases yet because they are so new and they've only had a couple of hundred applicants, but we will see in the coming years how it is really applied and what the practicalities are around those digital nomad visas. So for the short term, I would say yes, it looks like a great solution for people that are able to go somewhere else and enjoy a tax-free stay, not having to deal with the bureaucracy in that country, with the administration, so to speak, you know, in order what you usually would have to do in the past to sign up, go to the tax office, register, and get all of those documents and forms and whatnot. It seems like governments and even tourism offices have really built their own offices for this digital nomad visa specifically. So it's almost like when you apply, you're almost treated like as an elite, or you have an office where you can direct all your questions to, and they will get answered from that specific body that the government has created in order to attract the digital nomads. So definitely some benefits there in terms of making moves abroad easier, making it all a bit just simpler and, you know, less of a hassle when wanting to move abroad. But is it a long-term strategy? Not necessarily. And there might also be other visas already out there who have been out there for a while that, you know, might even be better than those digital nomad visas because you are certain and you know how you're going to be treated, how your income is going to be treated, whether it's going to be taxed or not, as opposed to this short-term solution, because these digital nomad visas are usually, I think the shortest ones, they are for 6 months. And then, as I said, usually they are for 12 months, but then you're able to extend them for 1 more term or even 2 more terms. So more of a short-term solution, but definitely if you are someone who is constantly on the move and who is looking to go to places who are open and friendly towards digital nomads and remote workers, and you want to combine it with some tax benefits where you could potentially get a full year of a tax-free stay, meaning you don't have to worry at all about being taxed in your new home country that you're now residing in, but instead will only have to think potentially about your old home country and how you're still taxed by them, or maybe you even got out of the system already and then you can fully be tax-free for that year. That is definitely a great solution in that case. And that is why I am definitely a big fan of it. And if I see that one of our clients falls within that category, that they are already on the move a lot and that they're already out of their old home country system, then this is really a great solution, especially again for those that are non-Europeans and are looking for now to get into Europe and to live tax-free in Europe for a little while. I would certainly be looking at that Croatian digital nomad visa and the Maltese digital nomad visa. And that's it for today. Let me know if you liked it, if you want more about being a remote worker, digital nomad, moving around and getting some tax benefits. And I'll see you on the next video.